Welcome to the Report. Appreciate y'all for taking this time to hear me out today. Of course, the other day, you remember we touched on the Deion Sanders situation. I had some quick thoughts on what I thought about Deion leaving Jackson State. I finally had a chance to watch that full video of his speech to the football players, or the players that were at the meeting that he was at before the SWAC championship game that he went back to go finish before he came to Colorado. And I just saw the video and I just thought I'd give my full thoughts on the video. Again, when it comes to Deion leaving Jackson State, it is disappointing that he left. I wish that he would have built more, stayed and built more, and became just a complete dynasty. Just left. He did leave a print there, but just left an even bigger stamp than what he has left there. And I know some people will say, well, how much more do you want him to do? We're talking about building, honestly, building something to where, he eventually plays schools like Ole Miss, Mississippi State, then going out to play Alabama, LSU, and those schools to see where they stack up. I felt like there was more, but again, I'm not over the top upset about him leaving Jackson State. It's not that serious, but I do wish that he would have stayed. But like I said, I get it. So in the video, you saw Deion, and people know who Prime is. Everybody know how Deion get down, but he walks into the meeting and you got Tupac playing All Eyes on Me. And like I said, Deion is Deion. Everybody have their opinion on him, but that's just who he is. But these kids, I don't know what reception he was hoping for, but the kids just didn't seem, from what you saw in the video, just very enthusiastic about him coming in. They didn't seem to really care like that. I don't know if it's because they've seen celebrities and things like that before. Then again, it is Colorado, but who knows? So he walks into Tupac, All Eyes on Me playing, and then he also went in talking about complacency and the people who didn't show up to the meeting. Apparently there were players who were missing from the meeting. Of course, when you look at that audience of players out there, you know that that's not all the football players. This is Colorado. This is Colorado. It's a Pac-12 school. No, yes, it's the worst school, the worst team in the Pac-12, but it's still a big time program. They still have a whole lot of money, a whole lot of boosters and things like that. But, I guess, the part about him talking about the complacency and things like that, and I'm just thinking to myself, how much does he really know about them? He's going off what he was told, pretty much. And he's just basing it off their record, and which, your record says a lot about you. But to me, it just didn't feel like the way that you should ingratiate yourself in the beginning, in the first meeting. I don't know if it's because I've never looked, but Deion has his own social media guy, his own camera guy following him around. And I think we're going to touch on that a little bit, but I don't know, the kids felt like, he's blasting them on social media and things like that just to up himself, up his stock and things like that. So I don't know if that came across, like, I don't know if they appreciated him doing that and taking those shots at him. And Deion also mentioned, he mentioned multiple times, which was the theme of the speech, that I'm coming. When you go out here and they ask you what he talked about, just say he said he's coming. And that's pretty much, that was pretty much the tagline of the meetings. He talked about not wearing hats the next time he come back, and it was funny. He did have his Colorado hat on, but he had a suit on, so he had to wear some type of school gear to show school pride. But it was funny, like right when he said that, there will be no hats, earrings, and things like that, you saw this dude in the back just like take off his hat. Just like if you go back and watch the video, yeah, you saw the kid take off his hat. But he was just coming in there, laying down the law, putting his print on things. I mean, like I said, Colorado has, the last time they were, I think 2020 they had a winning record, but that was like a COVID shortened season. But I think 2015 was the last full season in which they were successful. Not a very good program historically. And like I said in the previous video, he talked about what he was talking about, what he loved about Boulder, Colorado. That's where the university is located. And he mentioned in there, when he was talking about everything, he said no crime. And of course, like I said, he come from Jackson, one of the biggest crime cities in America, the capital of Mississippi. And every time, it seems like every time there was a big game or you heard about Jackson State, you heard about how Deion, his son truck getting broken into, everybody's cars outside of the homecoming game getting broken into, the crime rate. Like I said, I'm from that city. I was born there, spent 10 years of my life there. And I've been back to visit several times since, and I know what the city looks like. I know what the crime is there. And it just seems like that's what I took away. Like every time I saw a story, it was just about the crime, the burglary of the cars, his first game, his bag or phone and things like that getting stolen out of his office. And he made sure to mention no crime. And you got to imagine that this was a guy who was probably in the city constantly looking over his shoulders, wondering if somebody's about to stick him up or rob his son and things like that. That was one of the last videos I saw that his son posted in terms of me just like something. Like I said, my sister sent me a video of his son car getting broken into, and that right there, I mentioned it last video, it just didn't sit well with me. And I just had a feeling while watching that, while irritated watching that, like he's not going to last long here. He's not going to be here for the long haul because this is constantly happening. It's constantly happening. But he did make sure to mention that to those students, and no crime. And I felt like that was, I'm not saying it was a negative shot. I mean, it is bad, but I'm not saying that he was taking a shot like F you Jackson, but he did make sure. I do feel like it was a shot at the crime in Jackson, Mississippi. Then he also got into, again, talking about what the kids, things like they didn't respect or what they didn't want, like they don't want it. And again, I'm not sure if he's basing this off their record or chat with the athletic director or people around. I mean, like I said, he may have chatted with people around the football team saying, because there was a guy who spoke and said, they're not putting in the work when it comes to watching the film. They're not really studying it and things like that. But to me, putting it on the internet, I just felt like the kids, the football players may have felt that they were just being scolded by a guy that they don't even know yet. And we can take away, from that what we want. But I just felt like it wasn't, I don't know how first impression meeting usually go between the new coach and the players, but this is pretty much the first time I'm seeing this, or what I can remember. I just don't feel like it went over well because they know that it was going to be posted on the internet for everyone to see, and it just wasn't something that to me, I think I probably would have talked to him after if I'm a player. I know some people said they would have walked out of the meeting. I wouldn't have disrespected the man and walked out, but I would have talked to him in private. It's whatever my problem may have been. Maybe feeling like just gauging the guy, just, I don't know, things like that. But it just, I feel like with those kids that stuff just didn't sit well with them, knowing that they were on the internet and being scolded and feeling like they're being scolded. But I wouldn't have walked out on him like that. You don't interrupt the man in his speech. And then, of course, he went into the famous line that he was coming. I'm coming. I'm bringing my luggage. And it's Louis. It's Deion Sanders. They don't call him prime time for no reason. But, of course, he was referring to the players that, he's going to be recruiting, and also the players he's going to be bringing from Jackson State. His son, of course, is coming, and he's going to be the quarterback. And with that line, I don't know if Deion was expecting to get laughs or whatever, out of that line and out of this meeting, but there was no laughter. Nobody really laughing. I don't know if there were people chuckling, but when you heard this guy talking to his Jackson State guys and just any other like speech he gives, you got these kids are laughing and they are soaking it all up, but these kids in Colorado just didn't seem to care for what I was saying. Now we will follow this more because, like I said, a lot of this stuff is going to be broadcast. This is the worst football team in the Pac-12, so they're looking for any spark, any type of publicity they can get. So Deion is going to have a lot of this on his Instagram and social media, just the internet in general, and we'll see how it takes shape as the offseason go on and as the 2023 season approaches. So that is going to be interesting. But I can also, and he did talk about the whole portal situation, and you can also see it as, like I said, Deion bringing these Jackson guys in, he's bringing in enough of them to build to, because I don't think, these kids aren't going to take to him the way that the kids at Jackson State did. So what Deion is going to do is bring enough of his people in so that culture that he set at Jackson State is already established. It's already established. It's going to be seen as the norm because he can't just come without bringing his people because it's a different culture out there. I mean, yes, losing, but just as far as being like, oh, this is prime time and things like that, like Boulder, Colorado, and Colorado, the university is not Jackson State. Deion going to Colorado was not the same effect as he had when he announced that he was going to Jackson State. I don't think they really care. They don't really care the way that we cared when he came to Jackson. So him bringing his Louis luggage, meaning the people who are going to be transferring, it's him just putting his culture, establishing his culture in that university. It is going to give them more publicity, but there are, of course, going to be a lot of people who are not going to care on the outside and take well to it. So yeah, he told them to jump in that portal. He had them repeat after him, and the kids, when they was repeating after him, it was just so dry. It was just so dry. I don't know. I don't think it went over the way Deion expected it. The speech. I don't think it went over. He said, "Repeat after me. I am somebody." Like something. It was just so dry, man. Like you walk away from that thing not motivated at all. A couple people asking questions about coaching changes and what to expect during the off season. He was stressing to asking questions and get it out the way now. But like, yeah, I mean, overall, I don't think the meeting really went across. The speech really went across as he thought it would. It's gonna be like we gotta follow what happens after this. Deion has been getting a lot of flack and everything for his move, selling out Black America, things like that. And there are a lot of people who said a lot of things about this situation that I agree with. Of course, people who said things I disagree with, but building, I think it would have been very, very, it's very interesting when you hear about, I don't know the exact number, so I think Dr. Dre once donated $70 million to USC, and you see the faces of these guys who will wear the merch and come down to support Deion, but how much money are they putting in the university? It is the question, and it is something to bring up in a fair critique because they put so much money in so many other things, but if you would have put a lot of that into what Deion was doing at Jackson State and having that trickle to other HBCUs, that would have been very helpful. It would have been very helpful if a large segment of those Black celebrities, would have just focused on building that thing up at Jackson State. But, it is what it is. Again, Deion leaving, I can't say I'm too surprised because when I saw the video of his son getting his truck broken into, I thought Deion was probably thinking of his son's well-being going forward, and it didn't sit well with me. So that's why this move doesn't come, at a great surprise to me. Disappointing, yes, but the decision is the decision. It is what it is. Now it's time to see what happens here at Colorado. Again, I don't expect them to be a good team at all in his first season. I expect them to be a bad team, probably 3-4 wins. That'll be 2 or 3 more than what they won this past season. But A lot of people saying 3 years. We'll see what happens. Follow this journey because he's still prime time and it's still going to get some coverage because there are a lot of people who's hoping he succeed, but there's also a lot of people who are hoping that primetime fails. So it's going to be interesting to see. But those are my thoughts on that video. Just my thoughts in general about the situation. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think about Deion leaving Jackson State. Was it too soon? For me, I felt incomplete because I felt that we never got to see them play Ole Miss. We never got to see them play Mississippi State. That's why I felt like the move was incomplete as well. That's part of it. That's just a small part of it, but it wasn't a long enough stay. But I see why. I think crime played a big part in it. But those are my thoughts. Anyway, I'm not going to hold you guys up much longer. Appreciate y'all for checking out the video, and I will see you soon. Carolina Panthers are winning out, and we will win the NFC South. Mark my words. Book it.